Well, welcome everyone. I'm Steve Savant. We're broadcasting live from the heart of Phoenix, Arizona on KXXT Family Values Radio. I also want to welcome our online audience on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. I want to give a big shout out to our friends, our greatest sisters in the Lord. I got to tell you, they're my friends. I call them my sisterettes. Beyond Fear to Freedom, one of the best Christ-centered fellowships that provide a safe and loving community for women in recovery. Just check out their website at beyondfeartofreedom.org, beyondfeartofreedom.org. And don't forget, if you want to write me, I love to hear your comments and your encouragement. Steve at 180uturn.com. That's Steve at 180youturn.com. On today, our final day, we're welcoming back Jesse Dalla Riva to our show. And if you've missed any of his show, of his whole entire story, just go back out to YouTube and watch it in succession, Monday through Friday. It's all out there. It'll bless you. And especially for people who are encouraged about the miraculous, how God can take anybody from anywhere. He doesn't leave anybody behind. He can take anybody who's a nobody and make them a somebody overnight. And Jesse, welcome back. And we had our conversion story yesterday. I love that, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, what happened? You got your degree from GCU, and now you're in the middle. They offered you back a master's program?
Yeah, recently, just a few months ago, GCU offered me another scholarship to come back for my master's degree.
I find this just stunning. You know, if you aren't with us yesterday, the Lord paved the way to get a full ride to GCU on an essay that he wrote that bought him 4 years of in-dorm tuition, everything, lock, stock, and barrel. And on top of it, now he's studying for his MBA. This is just going to, this is going to help your family ultimately, right? Well, you met you met the person who shared Jesus with you in rehab, right?
Yep.
And generally speaking, guys in rehab hit up on women. I'm sorry, just the way it is, right?
Yeah.
You were so focused on getting right, it wasn't your thing. But you wrote about this gal in your newsletter.
Yep.
The newsletter got back to this person's mother. Mm-hmm. She said, hey, I think this person's writing about you. She came to check you out to say, hey, how are you doing? She found out you became a Christian, which I'm sure delighted her.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you guys start dating, right?
Yep.
Like, I can't believe it. Like, I'm dating now, after not dating at all, right? Mm-hmm. All these years, right? Because of drug addiction and everything else. So all of a sudden, you're not only dating, but now you're going to go into, hey, I'm thinking about marrying this gal.
Well,
what was that like?
Yeah, there was lots of signs that it was the right person. First of all, we were both committed Christians. That was pretty clear. There were some more minor things. Our first day was at Starbucks, and we both drove up in Oldsmobile Aleros, which is kind of a strange car to both have. And then my birthday is October 23rd, 1991. Her birthday is October 30th, 1991. So I'm only 7 days older than her. Mm-hmm. There was all sorts of things like that said that, yeah, this person's probably the right one.
Wow. So then you got married?
Yeah, we got married.
Right. Had children?
Yeah, we have 2 children, a 3-year-old son named Jackson and a 1-year-old daughter named Arya. In your wildest dreams, did you ever think you'd be married? Nope, I never thought I would have kids either, or any semblance of peace.
Or family, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're having children. You think you're ready for fatherhood?
Yeah, I didn't think I didn't know if I was ready, but I found out that, yeah, I'm ready.
Now, a lot of times when we go through things, I had the same thing. I've been married 46 years, same girl, right? Mm-hmm. Listen, my role model wasn't really good. A lot of people know my testimony. My dad's in jail, prison, and my mom had mental problems and so forth. I have 0 role models. If you go to Monday's show and listen to Jesse's story, he has no role models. This is the time when you have to exchange whatever role model you should have had on the earth, you exchange it for your Heavenly Father's role modeling. Mm-hmm. And to me, because of your devotion to the Word, and Blake is over the top on that issue, you guys have a working, a young family. It shouldn't work, actually. You guys have come from such destructive backgrounds that bringing baggage like that into a marriage is usually explosive and negative. For anything to go forward on this, to me, is an absolute miracle that God can fix 2 people. Usually I say, and I've written this in other blogs, where it says you can't take 2 hurt people and try to make one good couple out of
Right.
it. So, but we're talking about something totally different here.
Yeah.
So, give me a little idea. You know, you got fatherhood under your belt now. You're halfway through your MBA, right? Or maybe not halfway through, but you're on your way on your MBA. You're working at the Phoenix Rescue Mission. Can you say what satisfaction it is for you now? A guy walks out and you are directly responsible for this guy getting better and the Lord using you in so many avenues over there at Phoenix Rescue Mission. What's that like? What's that fulfillment like?
It's it's very important to me. The reason why I pursued a counseling degree and continued in the mission longer than I could have was because I felt like I wanted to use my experience to give back to people that were in addiction. That was what I felt like God called me to do. So being able to do that for a career, there's nothing more I would want to do. And I've had so many different experiences with men where I've been able to use my own story to motivate them and to be that role model, or to mirror Jesus to them, so they, can change their lives.
When you see somebody that has been affected by what has happened to you, right? That has to be so fulfilling. I mean, I know what it's like to go into prison and jails and be able to cut through the politics of the yard and get the shot caller to come into the chapel. There's a big revelation, right? And get the guy to come in and see him listening and seeing him, and some verse, some passage that you used was the can opener in this guy's life.
Yeah.
You've seen that.
Yeah, I have seen it. I've helped bring people to the Lord, pray with them, share the gospel with them, and it gives me hope that the world can be changed, and what we're doing is the right thing, and that we're doing more than just giving people sobriety. We're transforming their lives and taking dishonorable things and turning them into honorable things. Not just sobriety, but integrity, honor, love, patience, peace, faithfulness. All those things are important, and we're teaching all those things, and it brings me lots of joy to be a part of that.
Based on your story, especially the Monday story, you have no love for authority.
Yep.
And all of a sudden you're now in authority, right? How's that going from one place of I despise it and now I am it?
So yeah, I despised it greatly, and that was the reason that God called me to pursue a path of authority. There's a point in program where I can go back to work, or I can go into a servant leadership role where you gain some leadership responsibilities where you have to be an authority over people. And I didn't want to do that at all. But God convicted me, and He said, because you have to do the things that you hate to do if you're gonna grow in life.
I'll tell you, if you're going to be reluctant, this is a good area to be reluctant in, taking on authority. I have too many people that are grabbing the shepherd's staff a little too quickly for my taste, right? But I love it when you have the natural reluctance to appropriate authority that's being given to you by somebody else. You're not absconding it; you're being given to it. Now, when you start working through with people, you have to set boundaries for other people. You set them for yourself. Now you got to set them for other people. What's that like?
It's difficult. Getting into any conflict with the person is difficult, but there's nothing more that makes you grow in life, and that setting boundaries with other people, growing, it's those type of skills that's going to take you into a place where you can become a supervisor or a manager at a facility and grow in your career and life, and those skills are so transferable. If you run away from that kind of thing or doing that kind of thing, you might end up just being just a worker that never achieves that kind of growth and learns that type of responsibility.
What's your actual title over there at Phoenix Rescue?
My title is Support Services Supervisor. I am the supervisor of the case management services and all of the intake services for Phoenix Rescue Mission's men's programs.
And that sounded like a mouthful, so break me down those three things I thought I just heard.
Bringing people in the program that are out on the street, that's the intake. And then case management is providing the clients medical, mental health, legal, and other extraneous services in treatment to provide a holistic type of treatment for them, where it focuses on not just the treatment for substance abuse, but dealing with medical, mental health, legal, and other extraneous issues simultaneously.
Would you say most of the people that you're dealing with have they already had incarceration in their history?
A good portion of people, around 30% of the people I work with, are on probation and are mandated in some form to be at Phoenix Rescue Mission's program.
And they have to show up.
They don't have to, but if they don't, then there'll be consequences legally,
And they could go back into jail and prison. Well, listen, when we come back from the break, we're going to finish up our total week here with Jesse and his testimony from becoming a huge heroin and meth user to now a person who works at the Phoenix Rescue Mission and cans out the very love of God and mercy that he received. We'll be right back after this break. And by the way, before we break out of here, just remember that if you're hearing these things that Jesse's talking about and you're relating to it, you can find solace and comfort in God. If he could do it for Jesse, he could do it for you. We'll be right back after the break.
You know the road to recovery can be difficult, but you don't have to travel it alone. Every Friday night, like-minded women gather together to share a meal and their stories how they broke the destructive cycles in their lives by the power of God and moved on to a new life in Christ.
Right.
For more information about Friday night,
That's just one more milestone in your resume.
Yeah.
you can't get to BFF on Friday nights, or you don't live in the Phoenix area, you can stay connected by joining BFF's Subscribe Club, where you receive
Yeah.
weekly study guides.
To me, there's just another milestone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
BFFfreedom.org. And don't forget to listen to BFF's weekly video podcast with Debbie G and Sherry. Their own life experience and their biblical influence will overhaul your thinking, your identity, and your future. They'll keep you encouraged with some great insight and biblical truth. Just friend them on Facebook or go out to their website at beyondfeartofreedom.org. BFF, where you might just discover a best friend forever.
Well, welcome back. I'm Steve Savant. You're listening to 180. We're with Jesse Dalla Vira talking about his story. And in this last part, I always like to cherry pick things out of people's resume that highlights, in my view, a complete part of God's intervention and reestablishing you. And when you said on Monday's show, the divorce of your parents, so forth, it caused you to be self-conscious about it with other people, and you thought you might not be very academic, and your athleticism, all these things were challenged. And when you go to GCU, it's not a lightweight college over there. I mean, you got to actually study and do homework, and it's not a free pass. So when you're sitting there with good GPAs, sitting at the high end of ACT scores and getting GPA, this to me is just God's underscoring. I thought I couldn't do it. Yes, you can. I didn't think I was smart. Oh, yes, you were. Right?
Yep.
I think this is the part I want you to just speak to, because there's so many people that this is the part of this, they disqualify themselves.
Yeah, it's a trap to that kind of thinking, that you're not good enough, you can't do these things. You'll sabotage yourself before it even starts if you think like that. The major thing for me was, look at my experience. I was on the streets. I was addicted to drugs. I knew no one in Phoenix. I didn't have any family or friends. No one knew who I was. It's just some random person that was homeless on the streets. And now, after giving my life to the Lord, I was actually invited to, after I got the scholarship to GCU, I was invited by a representative of the state legislature to speak on the floor of the House as his guest. And then after that, I was in a room with Governor Doug Ducey, Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who was sheriff at the time, all these legislators, and I was like, man, it just blew me away that this person that was just wandering the streets, homeless, 18, 19-year-old, was in this room with these individuals.
Well, a timeout. I did not read that in any of your pre-workup for the show. This is a huge issue. God is putting you now in front of people that you could have never possibly, especially Sheriff Joe, Doug Ducey, I might get, but Sheriff Joe, tell me about what's it like to sit in front of the legislator and you're talking about your problems and your issues.
It was a great honor to do that. I've had so many honors like that. After I got that scholarship, I was featured on the Valley and State portion of the Arizona Republic. So I walked into any Fry's and I could look in the second section, and there was my story and my picture, and man, it was so humbling, and that's what it keeps me going even today. You know, in the humble circumstances I live, that I don't need much. I live humbly. I take care of my kids. I take care of my wife. I work my job, and I'm fairly content with those things.
Now, didn't CBS also do a big feature on you?
Yes, CBS, Fox 10, USA Today had something small. Arizona Republic. When they gave this, it was worth $100,000 a scholarship to me. You know, a formerly homeless addict. It was a big deal, and that was something
a big
too.
deal.
Yeah, I was actually on probation still at the time when I got it, and my probation officer called me because he'd seen it on the news to congratulate me. You know, so there was all sorts of
You must have been
interesting things.
You must have been his star.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys usually have just a pack of losers,
Right,
you know?
right.
And here you are, and I don't mean any disrespect, but just, you know, you must have been the king of his list, right?
Yeah.
I can only say I totally see God's provision in this. I'm sure you do too as well. Whatever limelight that God has brought on this is you've taken it in a great degree of humility, and you seem to be able to handle it. It's not gone to your head. I just want to encourage everyone. I don't know, again, he can, even if you say, well, Steve, I'm nobody, I don't see how God could use me, but he's always notorious for taking nobodies and making them somebody. He could take it. Listen, he took Joseph 14 years down, right? And he made him the second most powerful man in the world. So nothing's off the table if God's involved. It seems to be impossible. This story is a story of impossible, right? And yet when God's involved, anything's possible.
Yep.
Talk to me about, so you went through this, you got through your having this, I mean, did you get to share your story with the legislation, Doug Ducey, Sheriff Joe, direct?
Just something very short, very small. Yeah.
And did they seem open to the things you were sharing?
Oh yeah. They all were, grateful that I had achieved these things, and were proud of me that I had done these things.
I'm thinking about how the Lord going forward. You're like, what are you, 29, 30?
Yeah,
something?
29.
Okay. Let's just say you could look into your forward view for a second here, and who knows what our futures are. I don't even know what my future is, okay? But your timeline, your life is totally in front of you. I mean, I'm sure you see this, right? And what God could do. I mean, it's not going to surprise me if you pound out your MBA and all of a sudden they're coming back a couple years later and you're working on your PhD.
Right.
I mean, it's not going to surprise me. But what's happening is that God is now using the trauma and the trial of your own life for the benefit of others and the extension of his kingdom. Your promotion of the Bible in your life today, everybody hearing our show, should wake people up, especially people that I like to share with that are more the academic type, that think the Bible's a myth and it's just a piece of fabrication from the invention of the minds of men. I don't believe that, and I know you don't. But in my feeling, as we're closing out this segment and your whole show, just give me a little idea about what you would see in your future. What could you see God doing?
Yeah, I'm open to God doing different things. We'll see what happens when I get my MBA. Maybe I can become impactful in the recovery scene in Phoenix, and use my gifts and talents and my education to develop some sort of program that is more effective at treating people in addiction than what's currently available in the city, combining the spiritual approaches with offering the holistic services to people, bringing Jesus to them, and not enabling people to continue in addiction, but providing good boundaries that enable people to make the right decisions and not easily fall back into temptation, using my gifts for that. Maybe a partnership with my wife on something, because she has very similar interests and a similar story to me, and she has the skills too.
She does. In fact, actually, this is I at the time that I interviewed Blake, I did not know about you. Otherwise, I would have put you back-to-back weeks and maybe even done a third show with you together. But I see this as, and I don't want to get into superlatives like power couple and blah, blah, blah. I'm not into that. But I am into when people, when you get married and you know the Lord and you both have gifts, I know that you couldn't do the Lord's will better separately than you could being married. That, to me, is a major piece of this pie. And one thing I like about your gal, Blake, she is fearless about sharing. She's gone down to the streets and shared the Lord in some of the same places you used to live in.
Yeah, she is fearless. It's hard to find a woman with as much courage to share the gospel as she has. But she does it. She's compelled by the Spirit of God to do those things more so than me. She's inspirational to me in terms of that kind of thing.
Well, I'm right there with you. She's an inspiration, and I've never met, and I'm just going to say this, I've never met a young person under 30 that knows the Bible like she knows it.
Yeah.
Is that true? I mean,
yeah.
I've never met anybody that at that level. When people who have been forgiven much love much, and they know to love much, they're going to pour their heart into the beloved. And the beloved's got his 66 books collected in an anthology from heaven, and she just is sitting there chowing down on it. And it shows in her life, and it shows in her ability to share with other people. Even in some of these situations she told me about, they're kind of dangerous, So I want to encourage not only you, if you're listening today, people who have went through the ringer that life has handed them, terrible sideshows, and they have come out to breathe and live. During this testimony of Jesse, I'm thinking, boy, nothing's impossible after hearing this guy's story. God can intervene with you. I just want to encourage you, if you haven't found the Lord yet, this could be your day. And I wouldn't just put it off. This is the day the Lord has made, and I'm going to rejoice in it, and I'll be a lot more rejoiceful if I see that you've been transferred from the roll call of the damned to the Lamb's Book of Life. Jesse, before we have to go, because our clock is ticking down, if you had one verse in the Bible that you could hang your life on, maybe it's even your life verse, for all I know, what would that verse be?
Probably Lamentations 3:22 through 23. Your mercies are new every day. Lord, great is your faithfulness. His faithfulness has been abundant with me, and his faithfulness has provided me the strength to continue on and keep moving forward and be there for my kids and be there for my wife and be there for other people with a resoluteness that is very important for this kind of work and this kind of walk.
And by the way, think about that. This is not a well-read book, Lamentations. It's not like it's not your happy time. If that author is writing the things that he wrote that you just quoted, right? That's coming from a place of great sorrow and tribulation, not a place of great joy and victory.
Yep.
When you start to taste and see that the Lord is good, you can even go into the book of Lamentations and be blessed. Wow. Well, listen, don't forget to check out the BFF meeting on Friday night at 5:30 for food and fellowship, and 6:15 for some of the best sharing that you've ever experienced. Childcare is provided, and they have the meetings for the guys and the gals at 6:15. For more information, just hop out to their website at beyondfeartofreedom.org. So until next time, I'm Steve Savant, and remember, no one's outside the reach of God. No, not one.